would like to rear up and jackknife my legs and kick you both with my foot bone.
Well, welcome to welcome to the show, fellas. I appreciate you being here. Welcome here on YouTube and welcome over on the Twitch. It's good to see everybody. It's good to be here. That was obviously Bukkake's band called Quitter with the song called Exhausted, which is staggering that they actually wrote something good. Isn't that terrible? No, they got some good music. Going over and check them out. In the meantime, welcome to the show. Let us begin. Well, delightful. It's good to see everybody. Hello, Gravy Biscuits. Hello, Toxmod, Jingle Jangle, everybody in the chat. I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk individually today. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I do, before we get the show started, I do want to say to good sir Lord Garth, who has gifted 5 memberships to this goddamn cockamamie show. Lord Garth, thank you, buddy. Toxmod got one. Aegon the Roman, Zeke, Necrophagic, P. Dudley, and Good Sir Dan all have achieved Diet Soda Soldier status at the hands of the great, the kind, the generous, the benevolent Lord Garth. Thank you, sir. You know what that means, of course. It means, well, for them, what it means is they can participate if they want this weekend. We are watching Pot and Popcorn Street Fighter, the movie. I figured out a way, because the problem with Pot and Popcorn is not a lot of people can join it because they're not always around. But I'm going to record it and edit like a 15-minute video for members. If you don't get to watch it with us, at least you can kind of see the shenanigans we got up to. That's available to you. They'll also be able to contribute to the Let's Read, the next issue of the Let's Read. I'll give you some information about that today or tomorrow. In the meantime, though, welcome, fellas and filettes, and also don't forget Lord Garth Misfortunes. The fortune cookies that are not for the faint of heart. Anybody who joins today gets their fortune read on air. So I will crack one of these open and read you your nasty fortune. These are great cookies. They taste great. But you have to understand, they're also kind of filthy. They're R-rated fortune cookies. I got a variety of them. They sent me some. They sent me Boozy Dozen, Fortunes Against Humanity. But I have decided that Lord Garth is going to be read one from the Dirty Dozen, which is all kind of sexy time cookies. We'll be doing that a little bit later. If you'd like your own fortune read later in the show, 'tis not a problem, my friend. All you have to do is pony up to the bar and drop some ducats, baby. Come on now. All right. Listen, yes, the band is called Quitter. I don't have to tell you. Ask Bukkake. Okay. Cluebell says, I just want to let everyone know that one time Rathy said you look like a shaved Melissa McCarthy back in a 2019 pod. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about... Let me tell you something. I know things about that guy. I know where his bodies have been buried. We just like games. Thank you for following over on the Twitch, buddy. I don't give a fuck because I could tell you some stories about that sumbitch, but I appreciate him. He's a good egg. Okay. Okay. Oh, no. I just got a text. We're not going to get political on this show, but I got a text that says, there's something we haven't told you yet, David. This is Donald Trump Jr. Oh, no. Oh, I should be like, do tell, idiot. Okay. Where was I? Where the fuck was I? What am I talking about? When I vomited in the bed, I just laid in it. I'm not even fucking with you. It's true. I'm a little tired at the moment only because I had the most interesting time today. I was... Colin and the boys over at Last Stand Media reached out to me and they said, hey, do you want to do a mailbag, which is like their Sacred Symbols Plus show that is, you know, members write in. And I'm, you know, they've been busy with a bunch of stuff. And I said, yeah, I'll do it. So I've been recording that today. It's going to take me well into tomorrow to finish it. But it's been so interesting to see some of these questions. I don't know if it's going to be a good episode because I don't know what that audience for that show expects, but if I sound a little loopy, it's because I've been on the mic all day long. And so if you ever wanted to get me to say something that you're like, that's uncouth, or really, like I'm worried about uncouth. Anyway, the point is, today's the day, boys. The FBI said Trump didn't actually get shot. Hello, Steffi. Well, what they said is, or one of the guys in the congressional hearing said that we don't really have evidence that he got hit by a bullet. there is a larger sense of evidence that he got hit by glass from the teleprompters, but then people said, yeah, but the teleprompters didn't bust. Who cares? I don't care. Would you put it past any of these politicians on any side to lie if it would help them get ahead? Who gives a shit? I mean, I give a shit, but I mean, all the conspiracies and, you know, I don't, who knows? Who cares? These are all, I mean, seriously, you're going to throw your weight behind believing in any of these fuckers? I mean, that's their job. Their job is to get elected. It's pathetic. Fuck them, I say. Fuck them in the butthole. Shh. Find your center. Find your center. Jingle Jangle says, ready for Saturday. Oh, yeah, by the way, that's right. That's right. Saturday, I will be playing a new Twisted Metal game. It's a Twisted Metal role-playing tabletop game that I will be streaming live on this very channel. I will be a character. Oh, I'll just tell you guys about my character. I haven't totally finished him yet. But he's going to be kind of a version of Mortimer, I think. You know, Mortimer from Twisted Metal 2. And the idea is that he's actually dead. His body's all fucked. But a bunch of souls have sort of inhabited his orifices, and they're controlling his body, and they're competing for control over his body. Because they all have 5 different things. There's 5 bodies in there, souls in there, and they have different things they want from Calypso. But obviously only one of them is going to be able to control the body when they win, if they win. He drives a hearse. The body that he shoots out of the hearse depends on how long it charges up for. And so if you charge it up all the way, you can get like real fucked up people to launch, like Hitler and serial killers and shit. But if you just launch it normally, it's just like a grandma. I haven't totally finished it yet. But I'm working on the character. It's going to be fun. Anyway, that's going to be live streaming from this channel if you want to tune in and watch kind of the closest thing you're going to get to a Twisted Metal game, at least till Season 2 comes out. Lord Garth, thank you, buddy. Dropped Super Chat. He says, the Fallout 4 London full conversion mod is out. I've only played a few minutes, but so far so good. It's free. I have never played any Fallout game other than 76 for more than maybe 5 minutes, so I need to get into that because I hear London is excellent, that version of the game. Hello, Robbo. Robbo says, how's it going? I think it's going good. How are you? The Marvel Rivals Discord says Gungan is going crazy because they're already out of beta keys for the day. Yeah, I don't have to tell you. Let's get into that. Let's talk about games. Come on, that's why you're here, as well as to sort of see my beautiful visage. Before we get into Rivals briefly, I'm not going to spend too much time on these. We're going to get right to the big news of the day. But I do want to say Call of Duty Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 right now. Man, I know this is obvious. I know what I'm saying is not clever. Everybody knows it. But I'm playing it now on Game Pass because they just started dropping the Activision games like this on Game Pass. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 just came out. And I've been playing it on PS5. That's where I got it from. Don't fucking yawn at me, Ravnos, you fucking prick. Listen for a minute. Open your goddamn brain hole. So I love it. I love the game. I love the series. I've been playing multiplayer on PS5. And I kind of was getting into it enough that I kind of tried to figure out how to get a switchable keyboard so I could play mouse keyboard. Never really worked that great. So I kind of walked away from it. But now playing it on Game Pass Ultimate means I'm playing on my PC now, even though it's the Xbox. I think it's the Series X version. Doesn't matter. Oh my God, I'm better at this game. It is so much. I mean, I know I'm not a good player at these games. You guys know that. But my God, I finally don't feel like a fucking invalid when I play this fucking thing. I'm up there, baby. I'm getting shots all over the place. It's so fun. It's so fun. So I've been playing that. Eric in the chat says he's bummed. Hang on, what's going on? He says he's bummed that he can't play on cloud. You'll be able to, I think, because Ubisoft has the streaming rights to Call of Duty for the next 10 years. You'll be able to play it. They said the earliest is February. But Army man go pew pew and run very fast. Big fun, big good. Fuck you, Ravnos, you piece of shit. If I'm using aimbot, I wouldn't know it. I'll live stream it, not right now, of course, but we're doing other things. I also want to tell you something else I'm playing. I am very much enjoying Marvel Rivals. It's really fucking good. For me, I know, I don't want to be, Here's what I'll tell you. The brand is everything for me when it comes to games like this. It's beautifully produced. There's lots of cool things to chase after. I love the characters. I love the fantasy. I'm playing the closed beta right now. I'm not maining Punisher, but he's easy enough for me to play. Playing a lot of Iron Man, a lot of Punisher, trying to get better with magic. She's more melee based. It's genuinely really fun. And I put a live play up from last night that's available on this very channel if you're curious. And then tomorrow this goes live to everybody, although right now it is only available to members. I did like a 30-minute comparison video of Rivals versus Concord. I played the Concord beta for 2 weekends. Then I've been in the Rivals beta. Certainly, I think Concord, and we'll talk a little bit about it in just a second, but I think Concord is in a great deal of trouble. I know Sony knows this, but we'll get into that in a second. I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh, did you know Concord's probably going to fail? Yeah, Jaffe, it's old news. I think everybody is probably thinking that Concord doesn't have a shot in hell. That's not what I want to talk about, but I do want to talk a little bit about it in a moment. What does this say? Yeah, apparently though, so if you watch the live stream that we did last night, and you watch it on Twitch, you get a drop. You get a drop of the code. But apparently everybody's bitching and complaining about it because people are saying bots are picking up the code. So I know some people watched for an hour last night. They got a message saying, yes, you got a code. And then it's like, oh, we're out. And I've been playing it. I'm well past level 6, which is the limit that you have to get to before you can get a code for a friend. Yeah, so Darth Nugget says you get a drop, but the bots get the keys. Fuck that bullshit. If you're asking me, though, yeah, I saw somebody say, I don't understand why would being on a PC magically make you better at Call of Duty, says One Wing Angel. Well, it's because it's easier to aim. And even though I have played shooters, FPSs on keyboard mouse with a console, I don't know if it was, you know what, my guess would be this. My guess would be I had changed a number, even though I know there are different settings. I had to have changed some settings in the sensitivity of the control that affected mouse and keyboard and controller. And so when I just hooked up a controller or a keyboard to a console that had my DualSense tweaks, it just didn't feel that great. But coming native to a PC build of this game with my mouse and keyboard, it's just fucking delightful. It's just fucking delightful. Ravno says it's why Halo and Destiny feel so great. They cheat. All the games cheat a little bit. I mean, even Drawn to Death, which, you know, to ask anybody to you know, there are games out there hardcore that have no assists, but the number of people, everything needs a little sticky reticle. Everything needs a little bit of a sexy time adjustments. That's just how that shit works. Gravy Biscuit's talking about Rivals, I think. He says it's not a bad game. It's just kind of generic and there are way better games to play, whatever its backlog or what have you. Here's what I'll say, though, if you're talking about Marvel Rivals. Again, I am with you in the sense that, well, I can't speak to it, I guess is my answer. Because I'm so into the Marvel brand, and I have been my whole fucking life, that is that's all I need, right? I mean, I'll play all the Lego Marvel games because it's fucking Marvel. The fact that it's a genuinely fun game that lets me live out these superhero fantasies like I'm flying around as Iron Man and I'm fighting and killing Scarlet Witch in the sky who's flying around casting spells, and I shoot her and she tumbles out of the fucking sky. Come on now. JJ saying, member for a month. Thank you, buddy. He says, Jaffe, I enjoy your videos about reading old game magazines. Brought nostalgia. You should watch G4 Icons. Oh, that's a good idea, and react to that. That'll probably get me hit more with a copyright strike, but we will be doing a new Let's Read. I need a better title for those, for a magazine. And if you are a member and you want to recommend the magazine for the next episode, which will be sometime early next week, send me a DM in the Discord. We'll get rolling. Okay, let's jump to Concord. Let's jump to Concord for a brief moment. Oh, by the way, like I said, Street Fighter the movie is our Pot and Popcorn watch this week. I don't know if it's going to be Saturday or Sunday, maybe Monday at lunch. I'm not sure yet. lot of busy shit going on this weekend, but this is going to be the movie. If you aren't able to make it, don't worry. I will be editing it into like a 15-minute little video so members can watch it that way. But if you do want to watch it live with us and smoke some reefer and enjoy the silliness that is the Street Fighter movie, which I have never seen, that is coming up very soon. Jaffe, can you make your small screen the big screen? I don't understand what you're asking me. You want the picture of Street Fighter to be small and you want me to be big is what you're saying? You mean like this? You mean like that? Am I going to see Deadpool? You're going to see it. I'm hoping to do Deadpool this week, but I'm really busy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get around to it. We'll see. Okay. And as I said, if you're curious, if you're interested, in fact, before we get to, we're going to jump right into some Concord news from yesterday. But first, I do want to give Lord Garth his due. He has earned a reading of Misfortune's Dirty Dozen cookies. This goes out to you, good sir. Anybody who joins today will also get a free read, a free psychic read from the Misfortune's Cookie Company. They're hard to open, though. You want me to knock the audio up a bit? Fuck you, Bukkake. We opened this goddamn show with your fucking song. You fucking owe me, bitch. Yeah. Hang on. Is the audio too low, you guys? Hang on. I don't want to go crazy. You guys let me know. Is it only Mutant Mo or everybody who's having that issue? Okay, here's the cookie. We're going to crack it open right now. I'll eat it later, but they are really good. Okay, this is Lord Garth's fortune. Here we go. Confucius say, journey south of the equator is good cause for Brazilian wax. Boom! Boom! It's a pubic hair joke. Listen, let's do it again. Confucius say, journey south of the equator is a good cause for Brazilian wax. Ha! Yeah, maybe. Depends on your cup of tea. I don't know, man. I don't go in for these ladies who look like, they're not women, but, I'm not going to sing you the cookie. I would if it was easy, but it's not. Okay, let's move forward. Oh, shit. Make it rain. That's what the kids say when they go to the strip clubs now. I went with my wife to a strip club once. I thought it would be sexy. It wasn't really sexy. It was just kind of awkward. All right, listen. JSD has stepped up to the plate, dropping 5 memberships. Lord Garth. No, he's more into the landing strip. It's got to be something there. Otherwise, it doesn't feel like a woman. A Rat Thistle gets 1. 10-6. Somebody? I don't know. Looks like Rasputin from Russia gets 1. Doug gets 1. Eric gets 1. Orange Rhino gets 1. That's pretty good, man. Thank you so much, JSD. Always offering up the ducats for this here show. Thank you, sir. In a couple minutes, I will give you your own fortune cookie. I want to move the show along a little bit, but we will absolutely give JSD his due. You will also get a Dirty Dozen fortune cookie from Misfortune's Cookies. Look at that shit. Thanks, buddy. Seriously, very generous. Thank you, man. Okay, so yesterday, this is what the I think it was the game director of Concord came out and said. He says there's not going to be, I want to talk about this because this is just stupid in my opinion. But I've been down this road. So Sony's next live service sci-fi shooter, the headline on Eurogamer goes, Concord will not have a battle pass. Okay. The quote is from the gameplay animation director, Mark DeRitter. And he says, no battle pass, folks. You own Concord. Concord doesn't owe you. Yeah. So here's the reason. Here's the reason that I have a problem with this. And it goes back to, because I understand. Now, again, it doesn't mean there's not going to be things to unlock. They say leveling up your accounts and characters and completing jobs yield meaningful rewards. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. But I think here's what is important. In this day and age, if you want to succeed as a frequently played game, not a great game, a frequently played game, they don't always have to be the same thing. What that means is you've got to give people something to chase. When I was working on Twisted Metal 2012, I didn't fight it with the team, but I fought it internally. I struggled with this idea. I was like, if the game is good enough, then there doesn't need to be any unlocks. There's no unlocks in Monopoly. There's no unlocks in chess. There's no unlocks in Uno. I should be a good enough designer. Scott, Kellen, all these guys, we should be good enough designers that we shouldn't have to lean on this crutch, right? But here's what I ultimately came around to and realized. All those games that I'm referencing, whether it is chess or Uno or, the games that you always come back to with friends and family that are board games, or even games like Mario Kart, Mario Party, whatever. It's not that they need those things to chase after, because what you get every time you play them is you get the camaraderie, the family, the sense of sitting around having a good time. And those games are not designed to be played every fucking day for 3 hours a day. The business model works for those games that you pull them out once or twice a year, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, unless you're really into board games, and you've gotten your money's worth. And so once I kind of had that perspective shift, I'm like, yeah, in a vacuum, a video game should be so good that you don't have to chase anything to unlock. That it like a better, a more advanced sentient, obviously if they're more advanced, not necessarily, a more advanced civilization should be able to look at a game and go, I'm going to make it so fucking addictive and so fucking great that you don't need a fucking level up bar. And I think that's true. But I certainly was never that skilled of a designer, and I don't know anyone living who's that skilled of a designer that can make a game without those things that you actually come back to every day, every day, every day. So if you're going to launch this, if what he's saying about the Battle Pass in Concord is that you don't, you've already bought the game because it's not free, so don't worry about it. We're not going to ask you to buy a fucking Battle Pass every month. Okay. Because he does go on to talk about there are going to be meaningful rewards. Both of the betas did not show what those are. But to be fair, both of the betas also did not show a single-player training mode, which it desperately needs, which it will launch with. So maybe they're just holding all of that stuff. But I can tell you Marvel Rivals has it. And Marvel Rivals isn't coming out till 2025. And I'm going to play tonight, because I like it a lot, but also because I'm about 4 games away from getting the steampunk Rocket Raccoon outfit, which is so fucking cool, man. And so, and I didn't pay for it because their store's not open, but I every month I pay for my Marvel Snap Pass. I'll probably pay at least for a few months for my Marvel Rivals Pass. Battle Pass is not a bad thing. Battle Pass is what came along that allowed not just free-to-play games, but games in general. Again, if you're playing a single-player game, go fuck yourself. But that allowed multiplayer games to not have pay for power. If you really like the game, you're going to get cool cosmetics and stuff like that for the most part, depending on the game, without having to break the balance, but you still are paying, every month if you're into it. I think it was a great solve. I was on Colin's show when he told me that, and I kind of knew this, but I'd forgotten that the guy who was the monetization dude on the Last of Us Factions was let go of. I don't know if there was beef with him and the guys doing the same thing over at Destiny, but he was the guy that invented the Battle Pass working at Epic, which really has changed, at least in the West, the viability of core games being free to play. So I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty fucking cool, man. Saturn Tubes drops a super chat. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. He says, Jaffe, unions are a pointless, outdated concept. I don't agree with you. Unions will always be top of mind and important to at least discuss as long as we have greedy fucking assholes. Because end of the day, as much as I do think capitalism is probably the best system at the moment we know of, but we can hopefully invent a better one. End of the day, capitalism corrupts people who are in power, and it is bad. And people underneath those people suffer mightily because of it. So I understand the value and need of some kind of worker power, but I do agree with you. Depending on the company and the union, yeah, you'll absolutely have a point. You'll absolutely have a point. Concord is no better or worse than Overwatch, says Aquastorm, and that game is successful. I have no idea why. Yeah, but okay, well, there's two reasons. One is Overwatch got there first. I know some people say, well, Team Fortress 2 is a hero shooter. Yeah, but it was the first one that I can remember that was really, built around playing as a team in that kind of game that was more accessible. And the designs are more impressive. The ideas are more impressive. At least they were when it launched at the beginning. Concord just is, I think it's a very disappointing thing. Now, somebody in the chat was asking about, well, what's going to happen to the studio? And I've said this numerous times. I think that studio, Firewalk, is very talented. I think they need to stick around, man. I think I hope Sony understands what they have in them, even if this game fails, which it probably will. Absolutely. But I also think that whoever was writing creative on this needs to be not necessarily fired, but they should probably be put with a team that makes more sense for them to be with. Like, why this game is so obsessed with their stupid fucking story is absolutely ridiculous. They just put out a trailer today of like more story shit. It's like, dude, shut up. Go write a book. It's clear, or go make a single player game. It's clear that's what you want to do. But please stop putting this is not peanut butter and chocolate. This is peanut butter and tuna fish, and it's gross. Maybe if the game's a hit, then we'll give a fuck about the characters. But get this shit out of there. Somebody should have fucking planted a flag and said, no, you don't get to be this writer on this game. That is not what it is what I would say. So I have issues with this in terms of, I'm curious why they were able to design this thematically, creatively this way. This should have been Halo with an R-rated, or more of a violent, edgy version of sci-fi military. Simple, easy to understand. I'm a big diversity fan. I like diversity. Put some diverse characters in there, but get it out of the main spotlight of like everybody. I mean, this, again, I got no problem with diversity. I want it. We need it. It's important. But my God, this is so on the nose that it's just like, you know what? Go fuck yourself, creatives who worked on this game. It's annoying. It's like, you know what? Sometimes the male gaze, the female gaze is fun, especially when I'm playing a fucking shooter. I want to see some sexy fucking characters sometimes. And I want to see diverse characters that may or may not be sexy. They're not exclusive. But it feels so like a mismatch. And it doesn't mean that the creative was not talented. It just means that, like, who the fuck was watching over this as a producer and going, this is a good match? It's not a good match. All right. How can a so obvious flop of a game be considered to be released? They can't be that stupid. And Last of Us Online get canceled, said Eric. Well, none of us know, though, why Last of Us was actually canceled. As I've said before, if you actually want to play Last of Us online, go play a little bit of Once Human. I don't know if it's on console yet. I think it is, but I've been playing on game GeForce on the PC. It's so good. And it pretty much feels like... It feels like you're basically playing a God damn it, Jaffe, a fucking multiplayer online service version of Last of Us. It's cool. Okay. PG says, I only want to see Mexicans. I could never get into The Witcher because of it. Well, yeah, sure. We all only want to see Mexicans, but we can't, good luck. We don't, this is not The Good Place on NBC on Wednesdays where everything is your fantasy. we're not going to get that. Okay. But yes, I agree, from your lips to God's ears. Okay. Let's move forward though. Let's talk about these unions and these strikes and all this shit. I want to ask you guys now. I am a fan of unions. I am a fan of very regulated capitalism. I like that people can make money off their creativity and their talents. And I think there are certain unions that make a lot of sense. I think today and yesterday and the day before, we've had three kind of issues. Issues is the wrong word. I'm sorry. We've had three events that have occurred. Originally, we had Bethesda saying they're unionizing, at least 250 out of 500 people. And then yesterday, Blizzard jumped right in, said they're unionizing, or at least a number of them, like 500 of them. And then today, the Screen Actors Guild finally decided that they're going to strike against a number of video game publishers, mostly as it relates to their issues with AI, which we can talk about in just a second. I think this is all cringy as fuck. Okay. And I think it's cringy as fuck because it's a bad match, right? I think if the programmers wanted to strike, I think if animators that are really good wanted to strike, okay, cool. But here's what I'll say. Let's do SAG first, because there are two different issues, right? The SAG issue is just stupid. And it just shows what a dumb group of people these folks are. Not really dumb, maybe opportunistic, but it shows how uneducated they are as it relates to the business they're talking about. If you don't have your actors and you make movies, you're fucked. If you don't have your actors and you make television, you are fucked like a fuckity fuck. They are right. You can't do it without their talent. You just can't. And so they hold a number of cards that are fucking important. In video games, I'm sorry, it's not the same. It's not even close to being the same. And to go out there and act like they're fighting the man, I mean, sure, if you can get whatever you can get, you're as good as you can negotiate. But their issue is like, it says the move comes after 2 years of negotiation with Activision, Warner's, Walt Disney. SAG-AFTRA negotiators say gains have made over wages and job safety, but AI is kind of the sticky widget, right? And it's really about definition of what constitutes a performer. This is a quote from the chief contracts officer of SAG. The game industry told us point blank that they do not necessarily consider everyone who is rendering motion performance to be a performer that is covered by the collective bargaining agreement. He said some physical performances are being treated as data. Without guardrails, game companies could train AI to replicate an actor's voice or create a digital replica of their likeness without consent. We strike as a matter of last resort. We have given this process as much time, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So there are two different things here. If you're talking about training an AI to replicate Harrison Ford's voice, yeah, that shouldn't be okay. Or even an unknown person's voice. If you want to replicate my voice and it's clear it's my voice, yeah, you probably shouldn't be able to do that. Right? And legally, you shouldn't be able to do that, let alone just sort of what the unions think. But that's kind of what I'm reading about, is where they're talking about this other thing, which is physical performance is being treated as data. It says the performers who bring their body of work to these games create... This is so gross to me. It's not that he's lying. It's that he's... Oh, it's so dumb. The performers who bring their body of work to these games create a whole variety of characters, and all of that work must be covered. Their proposal would carve out anything that doesn't look and sound identical to me as I sit here, when in truth, on any given week, I am a zombie, I am a soldier, I am a zombie soldier. We cannot and will not accept that a stunt or movement performer giving a full performance on stage next to a voice actor isn't a performer. Then you're idiots! Okay? Fact of the matter is that If you go into I want you to think about what they're talking about here. If you go into a goddamn motion capture stage and it's like, hey man, we just need some zombies to shoot in the background. Okay, cool. I don't give a fuck that the actor's like, oh, I studied under Stanislavski. I understand the backstory and the motivation. Shut up. Just, you're done. And now every time a fucking animator wants to go in and fuck with that data or make 8 more zombies, give me a palette swap on those zombies. I want 5 more in the level, but I don't want them to look identical. Well, nope, that's officially a different character. See, according to the SAG rules, oh, don't worry about it. I'll just take their I'll take their motion when she went like this, and I'll have her kind of do it at double speed, and then I'll just cut out some animation frames so it looks like she's kind of ticking. Oh, well, no. It's based on my motion performance, so that she gets paid for that. Fuck you, you fucking morons. Okay, that's the obvious. But you know what? Look, get you want to look. I look. I think stories and games are better than they've ever been. Better than they've ever been. But that's the writing. I played a wonderful game, one of my top 5 of the year, called #Blur over the weekend. I actually finished it. And you guys know how often I fucking finish games, right? One of the reasons I finished this goddamn Cock-a-Doodle thing was because it was so interesting and the characters were so good. All the characters were voiced like Peanuts characters in the adults, right? But it was well written. And if you make story games, if the writers want to strike, if they want to be WGA and they want to strike, well, then you might want to listen to them if your bread and butter is story games. But beyond that, fine. As much as I think Troy Baker, who should be a lot wealthier and famous and in movies anyway, because that's where the real money is, and he's very talented, as much as I think the industry would lose something without people of his skill set, nobody cares. I know that PlayStation fans may care. Oh no, I need my story. Yeah, well, tough. Look at the games that make the fucking money. The games that make the real money are not The Last of Us or even God of War or Spider-Man. Yes, they make a shit ton of fucking money. But you think these executives and these stockholders who will fucking cut off your nose if it basically means they'll make an extra couple of pennies? You think they're going to go, oh, we can't, we can't, what would we do if we have to not use union actors for the voice of Nathan Drake? Nobody cares. And if they do care, then guess what? They'll just start making other kinds of games. They'll make more Helldivers. They'll make more Fortnites. They'll make more Among Us and Fall Guys and Fortnites. You don't have a pot to piss in. And the reason this makes me so angry is because it is a reflection of a lack of understanding of the business. They act like the reason they're being told no is that these companies, these game companies, are being unreasonable. And I'm sure some of them are. But that's not the issue. The issue is you're only as good as what you can negotiate. The issue is, do you have leverage or don't you? And if your union is telling you guys that you're in a position to strike, because if you strike, oh no, what will the game companies do? I guess they won't be able to make another Horizon where Aloy won't shut the fuck up. Oh no. I guess they'll have to make the SOCOM that a lot of you guys are asking for. Hey, Jaffe, not that I work there anymore, of course, but this is what it was like. Hey, Jaffe, can you go down to Buzz Burrow's audio booth? They need somebody to do some grunts when the guys get shot. Yeah, sure. I'm going to go get some Chinese food. I'll stop in on the way back. Okay, Jaffe, action. And then they'll take it and they'll fuck with it, and it's in the game. Shut up. Fucking idiots. Jaffe's mods will unionize. Yeah. What games do you think could get delayed as a result? Who cares? Who cares? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's in production right now that would be affected. I mean, I guess if they haven't finished recording for Wolverine, that could get, because I think Insomniac is on this list. Not every game company is on this list. So like Sony is not listed in there. But what is listed in there is Insomniac, which is part of Sony. It's weird. I don't understand. Anyway, okay. Okay. But now it gets even sillier though, because, and listen to some of these quotes. But now we're talking about the video game unions themselves. Microsoft World of War, again, now let me be clear on this. I have no problem with unions. I think workers need protection. I think workers need representation. 1,000%. Okay. And I was always talking to people like John Garvin and saying, look, until the big guys unionize, you know, the lead programmers, the lead producers, the people that if they walk out, you're going to have a real problem. That's going to be hard because QA, so what? I don't mean so what, like fuck them. They're not good people. I mean, fuck them like they are, they're replaceable via outsourcing or just hiring other people. And it doesn't mean they're not talented. It doesn't mean they're not needed. Of course, QA and good QA is needed, but that's an easy problem to fix compared to, oh, our entire programming staff just left and we have to ship in 4 months. You're fucked. Okay. I mean, you may not be as fucked as if you have to sort of bend over backwards for the unions, but at least they have a pot to piss in with that argument. And so these two developments that have happened over the last couple of days, Bethesda first, then Blizzard, both of those say they are including these other staff members. It's not just QA, right? And so we don't have a list yet. I think, I could be wrong, but I haven't been able to find one of who the people are that are actually in these unions that they're calling wall-to-wall unions. Are they a bunch of junior designers and they're a bunch of, you know, artists that just got a job and a junior writer, and maybe there's a couple of people that are high up that matter in terms of sort of the executive food chain mentality of who we can't afford to lose, maybe. Or are they the big guns that are going to actually be able to send, you know, the fear of God into these executives if they threaten to strike? We don't know that, right? So I'm not talking about that yet because I hope it would be great if I mean, you know, I made a whole video on it if you want to watch it, but you know, there are pros and cons to what will happen if unions get involved at the level that it sounds like they want them to the actual gamer that will be offloaded to you. There's a scenario that could be very good for games in the art form, and there's a scenario that could be really bad for certain kinds of games. But that's a different conversation. Happy to have it later. You can watch the video. But it's just some of these fucking quotes, man. What we've accomplished at World of Warcraft is just the beginning, says Eric Lanham, a World of Warcraft test analysis and member of the newly formed guild. We know that when workers have a protected voice, it's a win-win for employee standards, the studio, and World of Warcraft fans. No, it's not. Or it might be, but it depends who's in the guild. You're a QA guy. No offense. I started in QA. I got no hate for QA, but don't act like we're storming the kingdom. Listen to this. On Wednesday, the same group that's doing all the organizing announced a group of 60 QA workers at Blizzard in Austin also joined. Who cares? Who gives a shit? But now they did interview someone. It says, it's exciting to potentially raise the standards of the entire industry as siblings and organization. World of Warcraft designer and member of the union committee, Catherine Friesen said in a recent statement to Bloomberg. So I looked her up. She does quest design for World of Warcraft. Okay. I don't play World of Warcraft. Is she one of the greats that has designed some of the great quests? Or is she just like, you know, yeah, I'm kind of a junior there. Nobody really cares if I leave or go, but you know, hey, I'm not a QA guy. I'm a designer. That's why all this is kind of important to figure out who actually is engaged. When the actors strike to the movies, you know that goes along with Tom Cruise's done for a while. I don't know who else opens movies anymore. Idris Elba is done for a while. Timothy Chalamet is done for a while. And the guy who played the guy who gave the guy the sandwich in the background is done for a while. But when these guys are like, yeah, the whole company's unionized, are they? Are the ones that matter? We need to know that if we're, you know, so when you hear all this bloviating and this, like, we did it, like this woman posted a World of Warcraft, we did it. Like, you did what? You created a union filled with what? With who? Give me a list. Now, if it's a list, yeah, she's in charge of the Killing the Rats quest. If it's a list that is, holy shit, you got the lead designer and the lead producer and the lead programmer of all the Blizzard games. You got, all the fucking quest guys that have been involved and girls that have been involved in making some of the best fucking quests ever for World of Warcraft. I brought up a list. Okay, well, that's something worth talking about. But the ramifications that unionizing in video games could have, good and or bad, if those key top people sign up, well, then we're talking something different. Ravnos, you don't understand. Ravnos says you're pro-union, but who? For the executives? No. I have no... What I'm saying, Ravnos, is this. If you're in the plumbers union and you guys strike, people get shit everywhere when their toilet overflows if they don't know how to fix it. If you are in the we pick up trash union and people strike, the street's filled with rats. Okay? There's leverage. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So is it worth talking about, says Bukaki? Well, it is to me. It is to me only because the press has a hard-on for this shit. And I fucking hate it when the press doesn't do their job to dig into this and go, wait a minute. Okay, I get that you're unionizing, but stop banging the drum and rah-rahing your audience that just thinks this is great and actually educate your audience and go, who, and again, I like Stephen Totillo. He's got a great news site that I pay for every month, like a Substack. He's still doing great reporting on his own. I hope he's successful at it. I'm sure he will do some digging into it. But who are these people that are in these unions, and do they stand to be meaningful enough to the companies to move the needle? If not, then the press needs to kind of basically let their readers know that instead of sending this narrative down the line that, oh, everything's working great. By the way, if you're curious, and I'm sure you're not, because we're going to talk about AI in a second as it relates to Activision and Call of Duty. If you're curious, though, and I don't play World of Warcraft, but I want to read you a quest that was written by an actual quest designer of World of Warcraft. It is a very beloved quest. And I want to read you one that I had ChatGPT write. And obviously the proof is in the pudding. It's all detailed, blah, blah, blah. But we were talking about, there is a point where executives might go, how are these people worth negotiating with the union if they didn't get the top tier people? But they might have. I don't know who this lady was, this quest designer. Maybe she's like one of the classics, But here's one. I'm not going to tell you which it is. If you know, don't spoil it, because I don't play it, so I wouldn't know it. But, Number one is The Battle for Broken Shore. It's only a paragraph each. I'm not going to bore you. In The Battle for Broken Shore, it's a pivotal, goddammit, Jaffe, pivotal quest line that marks the beginning of the Legion expansion. It features a high-stakes assault on the Broken Shore, where players witness the tragic deaths of major characters like Varian Rin, and Vol'jin. This event sets the stage for the fight against the Burning Legion, uniting the factions and leading to the formation of class orders. The questline is praised for its cinematic presentation, emotional impact, and its role in setting up the expansion's main storyline. Mute Mo, you're the only... I would, buddy, but every time you ask me to turn it up, people tell me not to. They say it's fine. I mean, I can turn it up a little, but I don't want to blow people's fucking ears out, man. Okay, so that was called The Battle for Broken Shore, and this one is called Echoes of the Forgotten. Echoes of the Forgotten. Thank you, Random Moose Brain. I'll read that in a second. Echoes of the Forgotten, a classic quest praised for its cinematic presentation and emotional impact, begins with Eldorath the Seer tasking players to retrieve the Echo Stone from the ruins of Zin Ashari. As players gather clues and defeat the Echo Guardian, they unlock a vision revealing deeply personal memories involving a long-lost loved one intertwined with the artifact's power. Returning to Eldaroth, the player uncovers that he was once a guardian of the Echo Stone himself, and that their loved ones sacrificed themselves to protect its secrets. The final choice, to destroy the Echo Stone or safeguard it, culminates in a reflection of the player's past, making this quest a deeply personal one and a favorite of folks, or what is it? People who journey in Azeroth. That's the world, whatever. Okay. So, Doug says the first one was AI, the second one was real. Anybody else want to guess before I tell you the truth? While you're guessing, Random Moose Brains, 45 months, buddy. Thank you. He says, reminder to wash down there and brush your teeth, peeps. You goddamn right. If we're talking about the cunts. Going down there. Somebody asked me, I'm doing these questions for Colin's show for Mailbag, and one of the questions is like, are you a vagina man or ass man? It's a strange question that I will be answering on that show. Anyway, okay, well, only one. Okay, you have no idea. Well, here's the deal. The second one ChatGPT wrote. The first one is real. Doug says, easy. The first one was AI. The second one's real. The point is you can't tell. You can't tell. Yeah, unless she has teeth down there. That's right. Right? I'm not saying that the execution isn't everything with this stuff, but the idea that it's like, oh, come at me now, motherfucker. I just unionized. And so now what are you going to fucking do? Arathizzle says Broken Shore is the real one. Okay, yeah, but I don't play World of Warcraft, so, you know. Okay. And listen to this. This is the last thing I'll say on it, and then I promise we will move on to Activision. But it's all kind of related today to some of these news stories. This is one of the negotiators for SAG-AFTRA, going back to the actors. Here's a statement. The video game industry generates billions of bucks in profit annually. The driving force behind that success is the creative people who design and create the games. That includes the SAG-AFTRA members who bring memorable and beloved characters to life, and they deserve and demand the same fundamental protections as performers in film, TV, streaming, and music. Fair compensation and the right of informed consent for AI use of their faces, voices, and bodies. No, they don't. I mean, they do if they can negotiate it. Frankly, this is what I hate, so condescending. Frankly, it's stunning that these video game studios haven't learned anything from the lessons of last year, that our members can and will stand up and demand fair and equitable treatment with respect to AI. And the public supports us in that. Well, I don't. Fuck you. You're wrong. I support it when it comes to movie actors and TV actors, but I'm sorry. You're not going to get consent if you go in and play a fucking zombie, and I want to go in as a designer and I want to palette swap the zombie and take some frames out because it's better for the game. But yeah, you got to call the actor. You got to call the actor first and make sure, because, you know, she put a lot of work into that fucking zombie motion. Fuck you. You know what I'll do instead? I'll just go onto a goddamn server and pay one of these hundreds of canned animation companies, $50 for a zombie walk, and I can do whatever the fuck I want. Go fuck yourself. You know nothing, arrogant piece of shit. And I'm sorry. And I'm a guy that means I like unions. I support unions. But this is such a lack of understanding that it's just insulting, and it makes me mad. Of course I want everyone to be treated well. But listen to this. If you don't believe me, if you think these people have a pot to piss in, and you think I'm just being some mean capitalist guy, look, you know that ain't me. Okay? I want people to be treated well, but you gotta be logical about this shit. Wired just wrote a big article. AI is already taking jobs in the video game industry. Where it is, where it's not, they can't really say. Maybe it's this, comes from that. But here's the point. You think these executives give a fuck? Look at this. On the screen, part of the article was a revelation that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 sells AI generated skins. And you know what? I play this game. I love this game. I played it today. If you were to tell me this was AI, I'd go, really? Okay. I mean, I don't care. But if you were to tell me this was AI or not AI, I wouldn't know. I would have no idea if this was AI. And frankly, in the context of what you're playing and paying for, neither would you. Okay? And so what does that mean? What it means is does it mean I don't care about artists? Of course that doesn't mean that. My daughter wants to be an artist, and I tell her all the time, I'm like, do it if you love it, and you never know what could happen. There's always an outlier. But this day and age, being an artist that's trying to get work, whether it's from commissions or at a company, it's do it if you love it. I would always say follow your passion if you can afford it. But just be aware that, it's not one of those things like, oh, I want to be an actor. Oh, honey, I don't know. That's not easy. It's not that. It's that the jobs are going away. That's the truth. But it doesn't, Arathizzle. See, that's where you're wrong. Arathizzle says the fact that you don't know or care means the stuff is worthless. You're not buying it to hang on your wall, though. You're mistaking. You're mistaking the value of a piece of genuine art in a museum or on someone's wall or wherever you see it, that can affect you on an emotional level. You're mistaking that with, oh, look, I get a cool looking sticker to put on my gun. That they care about. And they care that this is a cool looking sticker. Boom, mission accomplished. If you don't come at it from the perspective of the actual people who spend their money, you're on a soapbox, you sound like an idiot. Don't most people, says Star Force, use AI because they're lazy? No. In the case of Activision, they probably use this because it's faster and cheaper. And why not? That's every fucking business that's ever been. I mean, look at this. This is tangentially related. Oh, it's funny. This is a guy in NeoGAF. He was commenting on this. He says, one of the complaints is, well, with the AI stuff, you, quote, get stuff that's good enough. And he says, basically, that's the motto right now. Just output shit that's good enough for modern gaming. Who cares about art direction, good writing, or design when good enough suffices? Sir, good enough has always sufficed. Okay? These people seem to live under this impression that this is an art form first and foremost. It can be. It can be. But it isn't. And it is at times. But it only is because unless you're self-funding, people are investing in you and your team to make them money. And so, of course, good enough is going to... where do you think you are? I mean, it's like, this is not a fantasy. This is corporate life in 2024. So, of course, Activision is going to sell this if they can. Do you realize that if you paid an artist to make this skin, even though it's a very small resolution, this is probably 2 or 3 days of work? Maybe even if it's 2 days of work. I used to pay a concept artist, brilliant guy, $700 day rate, and that was like 20 years ago. $700 a day. But here's how it's related to this, though. So I see this online. Nostalgic Gamer. He tweets a picture of this guy looking at the back of the Sonic the Hedgehog box. Says, as a kid, this is me as a kid, he says, reading the back of the box of a new game I got over and over on the car ride home, right? That's what he got, right? For me, it was different. For me, it was the box, the manuals, all the shit that came in the boxes, all of the little tchotchkes that Infocom or Ultima would put in their boxes and all that shit. It's one of the reasons when I made games, I jumped through any hoop I could to allow Sony to spend as much as they would. This is the manual for God of War. It had original art. It had little character scripts and story moments and dialogue. Of course, it told you how to play the game, but it gave lore to everything. It wasn't just here's how to play the game. It's like, oh, let me tell you about the magic, and this is Zeus talking about the magic and all this shit. Here's a map you can use, you know. It meant a lot to me growing up having this stuff because of game manuals, right? And because when I was riding in the car on the way home, or because when I was going to dinner after going to Service Merchandise and getting a game, that I was just pouring over it, me and my brother and my neighbor, because we were like, oh my God, we can't wait to get home and play it. Here's the one for Twisted Metal Black. Was equally ambitious and equally meant to give you a lot to pour over, right? Now, guess what? There used to be entire companies that made these things. Those people are no longer in business. They've had to find jobs in other places. You know why? Because the business got to a point where they said, it's too expensive and it's not worth it. And the gamers won't revolt if we get rid of them. We can just put them online, if that. And so we're not doing it. And guess what? Companies that made these manuals went out of fucking business. My guess would be Brady Games that made all the strategy guides probably went out of business. But let's look them up and see if they're still in business. Brady Games. They might be doing other things now. I think they're now making more art books and shit, but they used to do all these kind of hard, you know, all these strategy guides back in the day. My guess is that's not what they do anymore. If they're still around, they may not be. Let's see, Brady Games, let's see if there's a wiki. Brady Games is a publishing video game strategy. Let's see. Formerly Prima, they were acquired. I don't know what they do anymore. The point is, though, is that where were you guys complaining about not the lack of manuals, but what about the people who lost their jobs who made the manuals? You know, I mean, what about the animators that were the only ways that you could get? I went to the official website. I typed it. It doesn't come up. What about the fact that you could... The only animation in a game you could get that was hand animated. Well, now you're you know, these people are like, defend the actors who do the animation. Well, they're the ones who took the jobs when technology came along from the fucking animators who actually were doing the hand animation. Well, why? What about those guys? Right? I mean, it's like, if you want to put a dam in front of technology and advancement of things, that's a world. It's called being Amish. But that's not the world we live in, and you can't select. I mean, you can, but you sound like a moron if you selectively decide which people who got put out of business by technology and which people are worth being put out of business and which aren't. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Again, you don't see, this is what people understand when they come at me. Eric says, Jaffe, what about the day AI replaced streamers? Then what? Okay. I mean, what do you want? You want a guarantee of that your job will always be safe? Is that what you want? Okay. Well, then let's do that. Let's vote in people that will amend the Constitution, which I would love to see happen, that gets money out of politics, that allow us to have more social safety nets. So when jobs come along that, or tech comes along and replaces people, everyone's still taken care of and they can eat and they can pay their bills and they can go to the doctor. I am on the front lines with that fight, my friend. Let's do it. But until that time, you think Donald Trump, hell, Kamala Harris won't, but you certainly know, you think Donald Trump's going to tear down the mechanisms of capitalism? No, they won't, or he won't. So I'm just saying, it's like, you know, if you really want to take the fight to something, understand what the fight is that you're That's a different issue, Arathizzle. He says it's not about he says it's about the inputs AI requires to create outputs. Where do they come from? That is different. I have absolutely never said, look, if I think there should be legislation. I didn't delete the earlier stream, and if I did, I need to figure out how to bring it back. That wasn't my intention. It should still be up there. I hope it is. If there should be legislation to protect the people that create the stuff that trains on the AI. There should be the ability for a company, and Adobe does this to some extent. I don't think it's across the board yet, where they say we're either going to license our content or we're going to hire artists to make the content that we train our shit off of. But yeah, no, absolutely. It should not be illegal. It shouldn't be legal to rip people off. But that's different than using AI. Okay. That's my take on that. It really bothers me, I guess, because I do take it serious and I do think it's important. And, it's kind of shitty that if we're going to have the fight and have the discussion, let's have it. But let's not have it, without really, let's just not be performative about it. Let's actually fucking dive in and solve it. Okay. Jaffe says, Bull, talk is easy. It takes actions to make a change. Cool. Take the actions. Let's do that. Let's fucking do that. But taking actions by striking. Now, again, if come tomorrow, these unions put out a list of the people who were in the Blizzard union and we're all like, holy shit, they got those folks? Excellent. Then maybe we're off to the races. Then they might actually have some power. But short of that, the people that we know are in the union, I don't think so. But that doesn't mean they're not. It just means that, right now that's what we got. That's what we got. Here's something else you want to see. It's all kind of related. I didn't even know this was a thing. I guess every week, PlayStation trophies, what are they called? This site, True Trophies. I guess they put together as much. So this is not like an official, NPD, whatever they call it now, Cisco, I don't fucking know, list of sales. It's based on their data that they get from their website. They publish a weekly, like, this is what people are playing. And at least it's something we get. It's better than nothing. But it's interesting. Because it just kind of goes to show what we've been talking about. I mean, Fortnite is the number one played game. Soccer. Now, you got to pay the sports stars. Because that matters to the game. But, they've proven their worth in the market. Call of Duty. Now, Elden Ring's a tricky one because and it's Japan, but let's assume it was made in America. I don't think Elden Ring, if this was written by great writers, and I think in a lot of ways it was, however you want to define writing in a video game, and they went on strike, I would say that then I would go, yeah, companies may say, well, fuck it, we're not making games like Elden Ring anymore because it's too expensive to deal with the unions. But we would definitely lose something of great financial value. But I mean, imagine being a publisher right now. Imagine being a publisher brand new and going, where do I want to put my money? Brad Skaggs says, who cares what the most played games are? I care as it relates to this conversation. Trust me, I'm the guy out there banging the drum on this stream for years, talking about play some fucking indie games. That's where the real juice is right now. Play some fucking art. That's where the real juice is right now. And it doesn't look good. It doesn't look pretty enough. Fine, go fuck yourself. I'm with you. That if we're talking about the art form, it's something different. But we're not right now. We're talking about unions thinking they have power based on what? Things that don't move the fucking needle? Look at this. If you're a publisher right now, starting a publisher, look at the games. Fortnite, soccer, a military shooter, a game from 10 years ago. I don't know, whatever. But it's the online that's really driven GTA 5. Minecraft, Roblox, Rocket League. There's football, multiplayer shooter, sports, shooter multiplayer, gotcha game, a game that cost under $1 million to make, Among Us. Here's a piece of art, Red Dead, Genshin Impact, fucking gotcha game, Dead by Daylight, built on the bones of a fucking licenses from the movies, Gran Turismo, built on the bones of licenses of cars, shooter, cheap game, shooter. I mean, where are you going to invest your money? Ravno says, which of the top 20 do you see as good for the industry? What do you mean? Good in what way? What do you mean? I mean, it's, clearly, look, here's a good example. Somebody said this the other day talking about Ubisoft. I think it was the Star Wars footage that came out, not the leak stuff, but the 10 minutes of footage that they put in front of IGN. And everyone, including me, were kind of going, ugh, that doesn't look good at all. I guess they leaked some footage, or it leaked, whether they did it on purpose or not, I don't know, that looks a little better. But ultimately, though, the people who were watching the stream with me were like, end of the day, I know tons of people, they said, that love the Ubisoft games. And if you look at sales, they're right. Right? So, ultimately, I don't know where I was going with that. Somebody asked me a question. But I forget what it was. What were you talking about? Fuck you, I forgot. Somebody was asking where Concord is. Concord was at 30 before, and no, is it 29 before? No, it didn't move. It was at 29. The betas, the two betas were at 29 the last week, and then this last week it was at 29. I don't think so, Byte. I think Concord may very well be dead. I think they'll try to keep it alive and keep it working, but not for very long. But the studio should not be dead. Sony would be morons to kill that studio. Somebody asked me in the chat, they said, Jaffe's avoiding Microsoft saying they shut down their DEI program. And my answer is what I've always said. Here it is. It's Eric. Jaffe's avoiding DEI talk. He has yet to talk about Microsoft closing the DEI department, saying it's no longer critical. No, I've been saying that forever. Do you think that I think that Microsoft or Sony or any of these people are actually making decisions? Because, I mean, in some cases like Ben and Jerry, okay, but most companies will go where the money is. They're not people as much as the Supreme Court wants you to believe they are. And so, if DEI stuff is proving to be not financially worth it, of course they're going to jump away from it. That's kind of what companies do. That's not a surprise. Scott says, why would Sony be dumb to close the studio? It's a no-name studio that released the game people seem to want to avoid. Because it is made by... First off, it's a really well-made game. It is a wonderfully created, executed shooter. Is it a shooter that people want to play, a hero shooter like that? Possibly not. Certainly not for $40 when Marvel Rivals is free and Overwatch is free. Is it a shooter that has characters and a narrative that is overbearing? Yes. And they should deal with that. Doesn't mean that, like I said earlier, the people who came up with that aren't necessarily bad, but it was bad to put those things together, the shooter in this. But you're talking about a team that worked on things like Halo and Apex Legends and a couple of other big name shooters. To shut that down versus going, okay, guys, we're going to kind of... I'll give you a great example. It didn't work out, but for a very, very different reason. So we made, at Bartlett Jones, we made Drawn to Death, and it was an abysmal failure. I'm proud of it. Some people liked it, but certainly the biggest failure of my career. And But Sony looked at us and said, okay, you know what? These guys know how to make a game. They know how to ship a game. We like working with them. And it was frustrating for me because I'm the big creative guy. You know, that's what I love about making games, is sort of fresh ideas. But Sony came in, and I can't tell you what the game is because I promised the executive I wouldn't, and said, you know, give us some games that are a lot more mainstream. You know, and this was when, what's it called? What's the Rocket League was doing well and stuff, and give us our Rocket League, basically. And so we went off and made that for a while, and that's how we ended up getting shut down. Not because it wasn't good. I hope to show it to you guys someday, but because ultimately the sub company or there was like a version of PlayStation that was funding it, and then they decided to fund different things because they got a different directive, blah, blah, blah. But the point is to go to the Firewalk guys and go, hey, you guys are really good at this. You stepped in some potholes, but we're not throwing this baby out with the bathwater. You guys are awesome. Let's give you guys a more commercial thing. You know, make a multiplayer Resistance, or better yet, just give us a fucking, you know, Call of Duty is going to be off PlayStation in 10 years. Why don't you guys start creating a military shooter that's more mainstream and not so team-centric, right? That's why they shouldn't get rid of that company. Failure is not failure. Failure is an opportunity to learn. Failure only becomes failure if you don't learn from it. And in their case, they're talented. I wouldn't shut that company down. You'd be morons to shut that company down, is what I would say. Okay. All right. Hang on. Let's look at what this is real quick. You know what I want to play? I want to play... I want to play this Exhausted Man. Maybe I'll save that for tomorrow. I'll save that for the next show. Hang on. Because we've been going a while. If you put both shows together, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap this up. I'll go to the chat, and we'll talk a little bit. But I'll get back to you guys on topics a little later. But let me come over here and see what you guys are saying. You want more games like Returnal from Sony? I loved Returnal. I thought it was fucking excellent. But again, I would certainly say, you know, maybe it was too expensive. I don't know. 616, he says Resistance. It hurts every time I hear the name. Yeah, but my guess is that's nostalgia. I would probably do something a little more straightforward. But Byte says, but Jaffe, should Sony have given you another $100 million chance if the God of War was a complete failure? Well, it didn't cost $100 million. I would argue that you shouldn't spend $100 million on a new IP. I think there are ways to figure out if what you've like. I mean, think about Concord for a second, right? Whether you're talking about the characters in Concord or whether you're talking about the gameplay, they had to have had enough of that game laid out and playable. Even it probably looked like shit 18 months ago. You know, put it out. If it's great, pull it back in and continue to support production. But this idea is going to go away sooner than later in AAA games, where it's like, we're just going to make shit behind closed doors and we'll talk to you in 4 years when it's almost done. And then we'll figure out if it works. Well, we did focus test. You know what? Focus testing doesn't work anymore. I don't know why. Sony's focus test used to be perfect. Such great data. We had every major complaint that came from the press and the fans of Drawn to Death. We checked those through the focus test, and we did about 20 of them. They said the humor was great. They said the gameplay was great. They would buy it. They loved it. They gave it 8s and 9s out of 10s in terms of fun factor. And then the game came out and shat the bed. We should have just fucking put it out. I mean, we did have a long alpha, but that's what I would say. Jaffe, before I go, I do remember Crush Hour. I didn't really play it much. I wasn't into wrestling back then. So what do I think of Superman's new costume? I think it's cool. I love Superman. So I'm like, you know, I don't really have much of a... Alexa, stop. I don't really have much of a Like, I'm not like obsessed with like, oh, the costume's not exactly the way it's cool. It's Superman. I love Superman. What's there to complain about, you know? How much was God of War to develop? It was about $24 million when all was said and done. Hang on, I wanted to read. There was a comment I wanted to read real quick. Sorry, fellas. 1 second. 1 second. I don't know. I don't know where it went. I'm bummed. Oh, well. Okay. Fellas, there you go. That's Gabbin' and Games for, what is today? Thursday the 25th. Let me give you a little update on what's coming down the line. First off, again, seriously, Lord Garth, thank you so much. JSD, thank you so much. Zan, thank you so much for all those gift memberships. You guys are the bee's knees. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the generosity and the support. I was going to do Comic-Con talk. I'm fried. I got to get back to also recording the Last Stand Media stuff, but we will do a Comic-Con thing sometime in the next couple days. But in the coming days, we'll do a Comic-Con live stream of just kind of what's happening down there. Kind of, I might do that on the Discord. I don't know. All right, hang on. Swap Fire, we got to do a multiplayer matchup at some point. But let me go to my screen here and see what we got lined up. So we got Street Fighter coming up with Pot and Popcorn. Don't forget that if you're into such shenanigans. I will be on Constellations tomorrow recording that. We're going to be talking politics again. That'll be me, Colin, Gene, and Chris Raygun. I assume for members that'll come out on Monday or something. I'm not sure how he does all that. I'm not sure what the release schedules are. And then Twisted Metal Live Dungeons and Dragons campaign is happening Saturday. It will be being streamed on this very channel. So there's a bunch going into the weekend. Hopefully I will see some of you guys around with those things. But in the meantime, though, members, thank you. Lurkers, thank you. Longtime listeners and watchers, thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you for spending some time with me talking about the games. Morgan, have I seen Conscript? I have, and I was going to get it. I need to play the demo, though, because the reviews have come out, and they've been kind of hit or miss. But I'll give it a look. But it does look cool. World War I horror looks pretty neat. Meantime, Prince Green, I'm sorry for that, buddy. The remote viewing thing we did, Benji. I'll tell you what, we are going to do a I Love the Weird next week. And I will give the results in that I Love the Weird. But nobody got it. Let's put it that way. Okay. Yes. Awesome Tatum says, Jaffe, when are you recording the mailbag episode for Last Stand? I've been recording it all day. I recorded about 40 minutes of it already, and then I'm going to record some tonight, and I'm going to finish it up before the Constellation starts tomorrow. So my understanding is I think it goes up on Saturday. So, all right. Do you guys really want to talk politics in here? I'll do politics shows, but don't do it in here. Not on a Gabbin' and Games show. Nobody wants to hear about it. Right? You're not going to change anybody's mind. I mean, is that what you think's going to happen? You think you're going to type something with your little keyboard? And then what? Somebody's going to be like, I didn't think about that. But this guy on the internet said this thing, and yeah, he's right. Just be nice to people. How about that? How about you leave the people alone that don't think the way you think? Why don't you do that? And as long as they don't hurt you, you don't hurt them. You don't try to prevent them from getting their freedoms. They won't prevent you from getting your freedoms. How about that? Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be fun? It's just a waste of your time. Waste your life, man. Be well, be safe. Thank you guys. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye.
She woke last night, 3 a.m. She couldn't stop thinking about what could have been. She grabbed the keys from the floor, crept out her boyfriend's door. Her mind was racing, she went racing down the 305. In the night, she saw a colorful light. Felt a shudder, called her lover, said this isn't right. He said he'd be right there, but she didn't fucking care. She hit the gas and she shouted out through the night, I wanna feel true.
go, baby.
She dove into the beam and then her scream like a heathen fucking demon. She was coming hard. Bukaki and Rob, man, they started to sob, cause they knew they'd never have her. And they both emptied the bladder and they pissed all on the road and yelled, "We're both frauds!" But she only laughed, said, "You guys are such a